2K.
Hmm.
It's your boy Reg in the building. Got my homeboy Trial with me.
What up?
This is a sequel of the whole 96 list and stuff like that. Um, I decided to do 2000 this time.
Yep.
A year that don't really get talked about a lot when it comes to great hip hop albums. Sometimes,
Right.
some shit. There was some shit here. I'm not gonna lie, there was some shit here. Albums I forgot came out this year and stuff like that. But hey, fuck
Hmm.
it. Let's start with number 30.
Okay.
So my number 30 is gonna be Black Eyed Peas with Bridging the Gap.
Mm.
Now you guys should
Nice.
know I'm not the biggest Black Eyed Peas fan, and this is by far not my favorite album from them and stuff like that. Surprisingly, it's Elefunk. Surprisingly,
Wow.
and I'm not even the biggest Fergie fan. That's
I'm
big
surprised by
ass.
that.
But I'm gonna explain that once I decide to do Black Eyed Peas. One
Okay.
keyword once I decide. But
Right.
but yeah, but let's talk about Bridging the Gap though. This album to me definitely was a very dope album. Has like a very hip hop, like a very boom bapish kind of, if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? But at
Hmm.
the same time, it you can really see them. It's like they found their sound, their first sound with this one,
Right.
but at the same time, this was probably the last of the first sound of the Black. It's like Black Eyed Peas have a very weird musical journey and shit like that. I'm not even gonna hold you.
Hmm.
Like this album has Primo on the first track, BEP Empire, which that's just fire.
Right.
I like the one on my own. That was a dope track. Um, yeah, man, this was a very good album. I have to re-listen to this album though. That's why I kind of put it on my number 30. But yeah, man, this was a very, very, very dope album. And it's kind of crazy because I did not even know that like when they had Fergie in the group, they were known as quote unquote the Black Eyed Peas. Whereas this album, they were known as just Black Eyed Peas, quote
Just
unquote
Black Eyed
Black Eyed
Peas.
Peas. And
Right.
they didn't really take that moniker back until Fergie left. So that's crazy as hell. I never knew that shit. But hey,
Crazy.
Black Eyed Peas, Bridging the Gap. Expect to review on this one day. One day.
All right. My number 30 is Cannabis, 2000 BC.
Oh wow.
Definitely an upgrade to me compared to the first album, and you know he had some heavy hitters on production wise. He had Irv Gotti producing a joint on here. He had the
Producing
Heat
it.
Makers, early Heat Makers. He had Juju from the Beatnuts. He had DJ Clue produce I'll Bust Him and you Punish Him with Rakim. Ty Fi did two joints. This was Pharoah Monch is on this album. This was like one of the early incarnations of the Four Horsemen. He was on
Yes.
this album, and this was a dope album. This was the album that Cannabis should have gave us with the first album, and unfortunately Wyclef messed that up. But this album was an upgrade. To me, it's still his best album. I haven't heard uh, was it the sequel or some shit? What's
My
called
club.
Mike Mike Club and those other albums. After this album, I was just like, okay, I had enough of Cannabis, but he's always been a dope lyricist. He recently dropped an EP with Pete Rock that was decent. I didn't care for the beats by Pete Rock. It was okay. It was okay to hear Cannabis
Oh
over.
wow.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It's not nothing memorable on that EP. I know people got hyped because it's Pete Rock and Cannabis, but I'm like, give me a full album instead of like 3 4 songs. Give me like a full album of Pete
And
Rock
and
because it
they
wasn't.
and they called it an album or an EP.
It's an EP, but
I was about to say.
it's supposedly they're making an album together. But I'm like, well, let me hear the album because I don't think it was nothing noteworthy from Pete Rock, and I love Pete. He's my favorite producer all time, but I didn't care for the beats on that EP. But it was just good to hear Cannabis over somebody's like some another a legendary producer. You know what I'm saying? So but this to me is like his best album, and I thought it was definitely one of the best for 2000.
Yeah. I remember I heard Mike Club a while back ago. I actually like that one, but it's
Like
been
Mike Club,
years since I peeped that album.
I gotta hear that
Yeah.
Mike Club.
All right, that's a dope pick for number 30.
Yeah.
Number 29 is Bone Thugs with Resurrection, aka
Mm,
BTHN Resurrection.
nice.
I love this album in my opinion. This has some joints like Weed Song. So I think Paper Paper was on this joint too.
Hmm.
A lot of people, a lot of Bone fans, they sleep on this album,
Right.
and I feel like, and honestly, I feel like the production, it had like a more R&B ish kind of feel. I'm not even gonna hold you, especially
Hmm.
songs like Weed Song, Ecstasy and whatnot. Cause
Right.
the what's the album? The previous the Art of War album. That's to me their best album. I don't give a fuck what nobody say.
Yes. Love that.
I love E1990 Eternal. I love that, but
Hmm.
Art of War, they were all on their grind on this one. But this one, it was still a dope album. I love this fucking album and shit like that too.
Right.
To me, the last great Bone Thugs album,
Hmm.
the
I agree.
last great, because I did
Hmm.
not care for Thug World Order
They
and
had
shit.
some joints, but it wasn't a great album though.
Yeah, I didn't like that Phil Collins song really.
Yeah, you didn't like that?
Nah,
They play that every day on Winterson Park.
Home. Oh my god. Then they had 3LW on that fucking album. Just like,
Hmm.
what are y'all doing, bro?
Yeah, on the money joint. Yeah. Yep. So number 29 for me is a underrated West Coast group that I don't hear nobody mention except for their first album and everything else after that they don't mention. But I thought their fourth album was decent. It had some joints. Souls of Mischief, Trilogy, Conflict, Climax, and Resolution. And I remember when this album came out, I seen it online like back in 2000, and I never bought it back then, but I got it like maybe 2 3 years ago. It is out of print, and it has some joints on here. Acupuncture was a dope joint. Medication was, I think that was a single also. Airborne Rangers. They had some joints, but like it went under the radar. It wasn't no promotion for the album. They were already off of Jive at that point, so I thought it was dope, and I've always been a fan of Souls of Mischief from the first two albums, and Montezuma's Revenge. That was a dope album with Prince Paul, and the Hyro Click album. So this is definitely an underrated gem in my opinion from 2000.
Definitely. I never heard that album, so
Yeah, it's okay. It's not their best. Like their best is still 93 to Infinity, and I love the second album, even though that went under the radar too. But the third album I never heard. I never heard Focus. I got to hear that one. But this had some joints. It just wasn't like a great project though.
got you.
Yeah.
I My number 28 is Busta Rhymes with Anarchy.
Nice.
Yeah, man, this one was pretty much the final chapter of the whole apocalypse
Hmm.
apocalypse theories. The apocalypse theories and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And also, this is also his final album with Elektra Records and stuff like that too.
Hmm.
This one was a pretty dope album. It definitely had like a more street feel to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love songs like The Heist with Raekwon Ghost and Rock Marciano.
Hmm.
The one song with J and X, Why We Die. I love fucking the title track. I
Hmm.
mean, this whole fucking album though. Here we go again. Fire. I mean, this whole album is just a fucking dope album. A bit more darker
Right.
and stuff like that too. So yeah, very very dope.
All right. Number 28 for me is Memphis Bleak. The Understanding. My favorite Memphis Bleak album. I'm not a big Memphis Bleak fan. I've never been. His first album was okay to me. I know a lot of people love that one. Um, this one to me is his best. I liked was it 5P4? That was okay. But I never been a huge fan of him. But we did an album review about this like a year or two ago. Um, this was to me like his heavy joints on it. Is that your chick? Everybody knows that song. Missy and Jay, Twister killed it. Do my I get high. Got my mind right. I think this was like a real. They promoted for this album. Like they went all out for this album, and I think this is like his best album to me. And the production, and you had Beanie Siegel on here, and the Rockefeller Click, and it was dope. Definitely enjoyed this. So this probably be like the only time you see me have a Memphis Bleak album on the list like this. But I still think this is like his best one. So
I agree.
yeah, definitely underrated.
Yeah, man. Number 27. I'm gonna stick with flip mode. Rod Digger's Dirty Harriet.
Mm,
This is another dope album and whatnot too.
yeah.
Personally, I felt like the unreleased joint
Hmm.
was a bit better than this one. I'm not gonna hold
The
you.
unreleased album.
Yeah,
I never heard
I
that.
gotta look up the name of that
I never heard that.
because she was supposed to have came out with another album before this one.
Yeah.
But I gotta look that shit up.
Busta fucked that whole thing up, man.
Busta fucked up a lot of artists on Come. I
He
love Busta Rhymes.
mm,
I love Busta, but as a
yeah,
businessman,
yeah.
he's not the
He
best.
was thinking about himself,
Exactly.
you know.
Just like Fat Joe and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Facts.
Yeah, but with this album, definitely a very fire album and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? This is a female rap album I don't hear nobody talk about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I love songs like "The Last Word" with the Outsiders, which, if I'm not mistaken, she was originally affiliated with the Outsiders.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
because Young Z is her baby daddy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have a daughter. Their daughter is like grown now. They have a daughter together.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yep.
Um, Curtains was dope. Imperial with Busta Rhymes was pretty straight too. I mean, it was a pretty good album. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
We talked about this album too.
We
And
did. We did a review on that.
either I did a solo, I think we did
Okay.
it together. But
Okay.
yeah, man, this was definitely a fire album. Love this album.
All right. Number 27 for me is love this. I love this MC is top 10, top 5 all time. But when we talked about his albums, everyone he had crap. And I think this is like his only good album in the 2000s. LL Cool
Fat
J,
Joe.
the GOAT.
Oh,
The GOAT. No, not Fat Joe. LL Cool J, the GOAT. To this was the last good LL album that I enjoyed. And I think it was, he had some joints on it. Imagine That and Forget About It with DMX, rest in peace, and Red and Meth, and he had You Can't Fuck With Me with J.O. Felony and Snoop Dogg, Exhibit, Prodigy's on this album. A lot of like couple of dead artists on this album, yo.
interesting.
Um, Ill Bomb with that was on the Phone Master Flex mixtape
Yeah, I
from
remember that joint.
Imperial. This was a solid album, but again, this was like the last great LL album. As you see, the CD slipped out. It don't even want me talking about LL. You know what I'm saying? But this to me was like the last good LL album. Like I don't like none of his shit after that. You know. So I wanna if he's doing this album with Q-Tip, I hope it's good. I hope it's like this. Like if it's not, we just gonna be talking about the many bad LL albums after the GOAT. But this to me was like he was like in his FUBU vintage FUBU era LL, and I thought it was a solid album. So
Yeah, man. I personally don't like the album, but I would
mhm.
take that over everything else that
Lord,
came after.
the CD falling out. They don't even want me talking about it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Next album is gonna be DITC's self-titled album.
Oh shit, that's my next one.
Really?
Yes, that's my next one.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yo, yo.
Let me take a shot. See how much we got to say. Let me
Yes,
stop.
it's my next one.
Well, okay. Well, fuck it. Okay.
Oh man.
Now this is an album that kind of, I unpopular opinion. This was like the beginning at the end for the DITC as a collective.
Right.
Because this was around the time when L passed away and shit like that too.
Mm,
And I don't know. I think once L died, it just wasn't at the same.
yeah.
Something was just.
It
And
was
then
missing.
Fat Joe was just doing his own thing.
God Lord.
Right. Like he was working more with Cool and Dre, which
Yeah.
he really started distancing himself
And I,
after
I don't know
Represent.
why he did that. Why did he do that? Like, why did he start distancing himself from the crew?
Guess he wanted a bigger name, I guess. I mean, he was still cool with
Right.
them and stuff like that, but I guess he wanted another sound for himself.
Yeah. That's when he fucked up.
He did.
That's when he fucked up.
But yeah, man. I love songs like "Where You At" with Pun and Milano.
Hmm.
Thick. That's a fucking classic song.
Yes, I love that.
One of Primo's illest beats. The Enemy.
Hmm.
Everyone knows that fucking truck too.
Love that.
I didn't know. I forgot he had a primo mix of Ebonics. I forgot about
Yep.
that joint.
Yep.
But yeah, man, this was definitely a very, very. It's not a classic, but it's a solid album.
Yep.
Because
Definitely is.
there was some stuff on this album I didn't care for either. But we'll talk about that one day.
Champagne Thoughts. I think that's the one with OC. OC was on that, and
Yeah.
that joint was fire. Thick. Thick was I heard. I think Thick was the single. I heard that a
Yep.
lot.
That was an underground single.
Um, Where You At. This to me was solid. Like I definitely appreciated this album, and it seemed like so long ago they did shit together. You know what I'm saying? But the production on here was great. You know, Showbiz and AG and Lord Finesse and Primo and Diamond D. Definitely a underrated rap crew. So that's
Yeah,
my number 26.
definitely. All right. Still kind of staying. Speaking of Fat Joe, I'm gonna definitely go with Big Pun with Yeah Baby.
Mm,
Now this is one I'm not gonna hold you. I listened to this a bit later because Capital Punishment was just my fucking shit.
hmm.
And I re-listened to this one a while back ago, and
Right.
honestly, it's just as good as Capital Punishment in my personal opinion.
I think so
Like,
too. It's
yeah,
getting
because
shitted on. I don't know why people don't like it.
honestly, to me, I feel like Pun was trying to do what Biggie did with Life After Death.
Uh huh. You
Like,
think so?
definitely had like try to have like a more poppy rap appeal, but
Right.
still having be more versatile and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I definitely I'm trying to put a track listing right now. I love the New York Giants song with
Yes. MOP.
MOP. That
Yes.
shit is fire.
He needed a
My
video
favorite,
for that.
yeah, my favorite track, My Dick with Tony Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very smooth ass joint. I love that
Fire.
joint.
Fire.
Fucking Miss Martin. Like this was really
Yes.
Remy's breakthroughs, in my personal
Definitely.
opinion.
Definitely.
'Cause let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be real. Like, if it wasn't for Pun, Remy wouldn't even be in Terrorist. I'm just gonna be
Yeah, because
real.
he bought it to Terror Squad. And
Hmm.
he bought Link, Cuban Link and Triple
Yep.
Faces his peoples.
Yep.
That's why Fragile got rid of them
Damn.
after he passed away.
I hate that's just a disrespectful right
Yeah.
there. Cause I heard that Cuban Links album. That shit was fire.
Yes. I
That
remember
shit.
seeing that on bootleg, yo.
That shit was fire.
Definitely.
But then we had Joe's ones and these two where we
Oh.
were supposed to have the elephant in the room and shit like that. Okay. All right. Well. But yeah, definitely a very solid joint, in my opinion. Yeah, baby. I love Capital Punishment, but at the same time, this is how you do a sophomore album.
Facts. Definitely join a dope joint. Um, hell yeah, number 25. Number 25, where we at? All
Mm.
right, number 25 for me is Reflection Eternal, Talib Kweli and DJ High Tech, and this was the masterpiece. To me, the only masterpiece together. Um, Move Something and The Blast and Too Late. Um, This Means You with Most Def, and they had some joints on here. You know, Dave Chappelle's on this album. You got Vinia Mojica's on this album. Rod Digger, Exhibit, Cool G Rap, um, Les Nubians, De La Soul's on here. There's a lot of big hitters on this album. And, this was great. This was a great. I remember when this came out, and I think people only remember this album for the blast, which is unfortunate. But it's definitely a solid album all around. Minus the blast. It's definitely a great boom bap album and high tech with the production and this is a masterpiece. So
Yes.
yeah,
That's actually further up my list too, Loki.
okay,
All right, my next album is going to be Afro Raw, Body of the Life Force.
nice.
Now, I haven't heard this album in years, but it's been one of those albums that kind of stuck with me because when I first heard Alpha Raw,
Mhm.
I literally thought he was like a Wu affiliate,
Right.
but he's really just a affiliate of Primo, like a Gangstar kind of affiliate or whatever.
Yeah.
But he definitely had like a Wu sound to him, which is kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I'm
And
surprised
mind
y'all do
you,
fuck with them.
there was some Wu affiliates and Wu members on this album too, so that's
Oh,
what
okay.
Like he
Oh, so he
had,
did do something with them. Okay.
yeah, he had Jizz on this album,
Mm,
Master Killer, and
yeah.
stuff like that too. I love the song. What's that fucking shit called? Bring It Right. I love that fucking track.
Mm,
D&D Sound Clash was pretty good too. Like he had some of the East Coast best. He had Muggs was on this album too with Soul
wow.
Assassination.
Nice.
Like this is an album I don't hear a lot of hip hop heads talk about. It's probably one of the most underrated hip hop albums ever.
Hmm.
I haven't heard Life Force Radio. I haven't heard that one yet,
That was
so
good.
that was good.
I had that. Yeah, he had Kane on that album.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Guru was on that album too.
Yep.
That was a dope one. That was dope.
I definitely need to get my hands on the album. The album's expensive like
Yeah,
fuck.
definitely.
Meanwhile, Black Star's charging $35 for that album and shit like that.
Lord,
We got some hip hop album that costs $50 and shit. So make that make
crazy,
sense.
crazy.
9 songs. Yeah.
Mm. EP. Yep.
Nigga, that's a mixtape, man. Fuck
Right.
that.
Number 24. I got Big L, the Big Picture. That was a dope album. I still think his classic is the first one, and I love the EP that we discussed like a year or two ago. The Devil Son EP, that was dope. And but this one has some joints. You know, even though it was like people say it's not a real album or it had like unreleased tracks or whatever. But you know, Flamboyant, that was dope. Holding it down with Miss Jones and Stan Spit and AG, produced by Pete Rock. That was a classic record. The Enemy was also on that album. Um, the Tri-Borough joint. That's not where I got my name from. Like there's actually a Tri-Borough Bridge in New York. People think that's where I got the name from, but no.
Yeah, I know.
Um, but but you know that joint was fire. Like I loved it. Like even the Stretch and Barbito freestyles, I remember those. That was great. I think it was a nice like send off for Big L, a nice tribute. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that definitely was dope. I need to get that one too.
Yeah, honestly, I like that. I like it,
Hmm.
but I'm not gonna. I did not like the deadly combination with pop. I
You
felt
didn't
like
like that joint?
lyrically it was good, but it felt
But
like a
that
mixtape
again, like didn't they take that piece like out of a bigger freestyle or something?
with the both of them.
Yeah, cause that's from I believe it's from like a freestyle at Madison Square Garden. It was like it was Pac, it was I think it was Biggie was involved in that too.
Yeah, Pop,
The
Ricky,
freestyle is longer.
Shaheed.
Yeah, the freestyle is longer, and like they just took that piece and made it into like a song with Pac and Big L, like they were in the studio together, and they
And
wasn't.
I hate that shit. I hate
Yeah,
that kind of shit. Unless they were
yeah,
actually in the studio together,
exactly.
I hate shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I feel like it just got overdone to death once Pac and Biggie died
right.
and stuff like that too. And then don't even get me started with that duets, the final chapter.
Mm.
That's just
Size them up in the Bonics. I forgot to mention those because those are like big on the radio. Like after he like I won't say like after he passed away. Those are like the 12-inch singles that had came out. So those are dope, especially Ebonics. Like his wordplay on that was just describing things and like the different terms and everything. I love that.
I agree. All right. Next album, my number 23 is Cameron Sports, Drugs, and Entertainment.
I have that on my list too.
Is that your next one?
No, but it's right here. But I have it on my list. It's
Oh,
coming up. It's gonna be higher.
yeah, yeah, I feel you.
Hmm.
Like you guys should know, I'm not the biggest Dipset fan like that. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna hold you. This might possibly be my second favorite Cam album, next to Come
Nice.
Home with Me and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Underrated, definitely.
Which one? This one will Come Home with Me.
I think both of them are like. See, when Come On With Me came out, a lot of people were saying it was great, and then when Purple Haze dropped, they totally forgot about Come On With Me. So now it's like Purple Haze is
I
like his
agree.
magnum opus. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when Oh Boy was blowing up like around the early
Hmm.
2000s. That was in everybody's radio and
Yeah.
shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That was actually probably about the first Cam song I actually heard too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But with this one was a huge better than Confessions of Fire because
Mm.
Confessions was him trying to do the whole bad boy sound. Like
Right.
he didn't have the creative control with that one and shit like that. But this one, he had the creative control. Signed to Epic Records.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had songs like "Do It Again" with Jim Jones and Destiny's Child.
Mm.
You had "Wino" with Freaky Zeke and Jim Jones. "Losing Weight" with Prodigy. I love that fucking track.
Yeah.
Um, "What I Gotta Live For," definitely a fire joint right there. I mean, I know a lot of people think this is his best album, and I'm not even gonna hold you. I love the album cover too. That album
Mm-hmm.
cover is fly as fuck. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, yeah, man, this was definitely a fire joint. This is to me an arguable classic. You know what I'm saying?
All right, number
Niggas
23.
like talk shit about Cameron and shit too. I don't know.
I don't know why. I think he has a solid discography.
He's the best discography off for Dipset, in my opinion. I was never a big Jewels fan. To be real.
See, I like Jewel's first album. I think it's a classic. His second one was good too. Like a lot of people love his second album also, but he just fell off after that.
I may re-listen to both of those albums, and
Yeah.
I'll let you know that.
From me to you, definitely was to me his best one.
It's just that he just didn't have the potential, but he just wasted that
He
shit.
wasted it, yeah, because he got caught up in the streets. A lot of
Shit,
them do that, you
man, he
know.
lost all his teeth, man. Oh, it's just
Yeah,
like,
he got went to jail and he ended up being on Love and Hip Hop with his wife, and I'm like, come on,
oh
man.
God,
Yep, he did that. It wasn't only Jim Jones. That Joel was on there too. You know.
I don't know what it is about that show that makes people just go there. I don't know what it is about that show. I don't understand why that franchise is still existing.
I have no idea. It's Ratchet TV. All right, number 23, another underrated West Coast group that I don't hear nobody talk about and nobody mention. And I think they this album was dope. Their second album actually, Jurassic 5 Quality Control. I actually have it on vinyl.
I hate that album. I never liked
Um,
Jurassic.
with produced by DJ Newmark and Cut Chemist. And I love like some a lot of these songs like Monkey Bars is dope and the title track Great Expectations, how we get along, not how we get along, the influence, um the game is definitely like a underground boom bap album. And Charlie Tuna, I think a lot of people know him. He's like the most popular one in the group. Charlie Tuna, and you had Mach 7 and a Kill, and you know uh Zakia, and you know what I'm saying. But I definitely think it was a dope album, and again, like it's an album that I don't hear nobody mention, and I think it's one of the underrated joints from 2000. So I wanted to put it on this list. There got to be some Jurassic 5 fans out there. So you know.
Mm. My next album is an underground classic. It's Necro with "I Need Drugs."
Mm. That
Yeah,
almost made my list.
it's
That almost made
almost.
my list. Yeah, cause I was gonna put it, and then I was like looking at other albums. I'm like, I forgot this shit came out in the 2000s. So I had like maybe two or three other albums that could have made the list.
Understandable.
You know.
Yeah, this one to me. I remember me and my sister first heard this joint. This
Hmm.
song "I Need Drugs." We both busted out laughing and shit too.
Crazy.
I mean, a lot of people say "Gory Days" is like his breakthrough album. I kind of felt like, to me personally, this is when he really found his niche
Yeah.
and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, Rugged shit. I love that shit. You know what I'm saying? This is another album I gotta re-listen to.
Yeah.
It's too like Cockroaches. I mean, this is a horrorcore album. I don't give a fuck
Definitely.
what no one says. All
Definitely.
this stupid shit y'all motherfuckers call horrorcore these days. I don't fuck with that shit.
Right.
I'm not even the biggest horrorcore fan like that.
All right. Number 22 for me is DJ Quick, Balance and Options. We talked about Quick's discography, and I think this is one of his best albums. Underrated joint. Love the production and the features. We came to play with AMG and James DeBarge pitching on a party. That was a huge hit on this album. You Ain't Fresh with Eric Sermon and Cam. Rogers Groove. What else? Speak on It with AMG and Mossberg. It's definitely a banging album. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed listening to this album. the divorce song with James DeBarge. I think James DeBarge killed that. This was a great album. Definitely one of my favorites of 2000.
Okay. Dope, dope, dope. Now I'm gonna get number 21 is the Lyricist Lounge 2
That
from
was dope.
Ruckus Records.
Yeah.
Now I gotta be real with you guys. I'm more for Lyricist Lounge 1 guy.
Hmm.
I felt like that kind of had like a more when I listen to Lyricist Lounge 1, it has like a more underground poetry slam feel to it. Lyricist Lounge 2 I like, but you can
Right.
tell they were trying to go for that commercial route. Like I'm the
Yeah.
Oh No song with Most, Nate Dogg, and Pharoah Monch.
Yes.
I love that song. Don't get me wrong, but do you think they would have done a song like that 3 years before? I'm I'm just saying this shit.
Probably not.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Probably not.
you also have the what was the other track? With the one with Reflection Eternal, Dead Press, Sharpshooters and stuff too. But you also have some very underrated joints like Miss Fat Booty 2 with Most Def
Hmm.
and Ghostface. Come the
Yes.
fuck on.
That was fire.
Though Big L and C Town still here.
Hmm.
Again, I love Biggie, but why is there a 16 bar song? I mean, that's kind of
I don't
weird
know,
though. That's kind of weird. They just want to slap.
man.
I'm telling you, man, these compilations, they just want to slap Pac and Big's name and shit like that. I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
I don't know what
Crazy.
Puffy was doing and shit. He could have been having another dope posthumous album, but hey, fuck it. Yeah, this one was a pretty dope one. Like I said, Lyricist Lounge 1 is my favorite, but Sound Bombing 2 is the best compilation of Ruckus.
Yeah.
But Lyricist Lounge 2 is still quality shit. But to me, it was kind of the beginning of the end. I'm just gonna be real with
Right.
you.
Definitely underrated.
Yeah.
All right. Number 21 for me is Cameron SDE, like you mentioned, and I love this underrated. I think it's his most underrated album in his discography. You got joints like Let Me Know, that was a single, and What Means the World to You. I think that was like his real breakout from this
Yeah,
album. What Means the remix with I think Trina was on the remix, and Foxy Brown I think was on the remix, and um, Where I'm From with Dutch and Spade. I remember Clue, that was on the Clue mixtapes back then. That was dope. Um, My Hood with Jim Jones, that was fire. Moving Weight Part Two with Prodigy, rest in peace. Definitely a solid album. I had the bootleg for this back in the day too, and I think the bootleg had like some joints that didn't make the album. Like there's a Charlie Baltimore joint that didn't make the album,
yeah,
and Cam's old producer, Digger was a dope producer too.
I agree. He
And
made the
then
sound for this album.
yeah, and it's like after Cam hooked up with the Heatmakers, we didn't hear from Digger no more. You know what I'm saying? But definitely just like early Cam before like the whole Dipset formation. But it's definitely a great album.
Definitely. All right, like you mentioned, we're gonna get to this top 20
Yeah.
with DJ Quick with that balance and options.
Mm,
Now, recently talked about Quick's discography, so I don't want to spend too much time on this one.
right.
This one was a pretty dope album. Kind of, damn, I can't talk. After you say your next choice, I want to blow my nose right quick.
Okay.
Definitely continued on with the whole R&B influence style he was doing with rhythmalism and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? The divorce song. To this day, I still wish James DeBarge or DeBarge man would have done an album with Quick
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like I love the El DeBarge album Second Chance, but
Hmm.
I wanted that quick and DeBarge. I know y'all got some heat left and shit. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, man. Do I love her with Sugar Free was dope. Do What You Want featuring Underground Digital Underground AMG. Check out the original Do What You Want from Sex Packets. That's a classic track, in
Hmm.
my opinion. I mean, this one right here, this is definitely a cult following and shit like that too. Like, I mean, it's quick. He never really had anything bad unless the song he did with Jay-Z and shit, but that's another story.
Right. All right. Number 20 for me is MOP Warriors. I love this album. I think people gotta really like go back and listen to this album. It's not just about Annie Up on this album. Like Annie Up was big off of this album, the biggest hit off of this album, probably in their whole career, but it wasn't the only banger on this album. You had Cold as Ice. Love that song. That was done by Premier. I mean not Premier. Fizzy Womack actually produced that. Premier produced most of the album. You had Fizzy, Little Fame produced some stuff. You had Nods, DR Period, Lazy Lays. Old Timers was dope. Every Day, that was a dope track featuring the product G&B. Follow Instructions. This was a solid MOP album, and it's a shame that people overlook it because of that one hit record off on here. But that was definitely one of my favorite MOP albums.
Yeah, man. To me, it's not touching the first three,
Right.
but it's still a good album and stuff like that. I'm just tired, so tired of Anti Up.
And then they had the remix with Remy Martin and Busta, so
Right,
that's what prolonged it.
right. Now let me blow my nose right there.
Yeah.
I feel some gas backed up and shit. All right, I'm back.
Yeah.
All right. We got number 19, right?
Yes.
Alrighty. No, no, yeah, yeah, number 19. Okay. Prodigy, HNIC.
Mm,
Yes. This is his solo debut. Very, very, very dope album. His best solo debut, in my opinion.
mm-hmm.
I mean, this shit right here was New York to the fullest and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I love songs like Keep It Thorough. I love Trials of Love, YBE with BG. Oh my god, that shit was fire. Like
Mm-hmm.
BG, man. We definitely gonna talk about some BG soon
Yes.
and stuff like that. Him and Jewy were the best ones in Cash Money at that time and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this was a very, very, very solid joint.
All right. My number 19 for me is one of my favorite Midwest groups, Bone Thugs and Harmony, BTNH, Resurrection. Um, I got into this album. It was slow because I was still on Art of War when this album came out, and it took me a couple years to get into this album, and I've had it for a long time, and just really like I want to say like maybe the last 10 years really started playing it. But it's definitely dope. Paper Paper, that was the first single, and Weed Song is my joint. I love Weed Song, and I'm glad that they performed it at the Verses. So that was my favorite off of this album. Ecstasy, you had the bonus track One Night Stand. This definitely was a dope album. I think it's overlooked because of the success of the first three, but definitely was solid in my opinion.
Understandable, got you. I'm definitely gonna go with Big L with the big picture. Um, like I mentioned, I don't want to too kind of talk about this. This was a good posthumous album and stuff like that.
Yep.
They picked the best, some of the L's best songs, but I'm not gonna act like everything is perfect and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, I love songs like Ebonics. That was dope as fuck.
Yeah.
I love Platinum Plus. Oh, whew,
Fire.
fire. Both Kane and L came correct on that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, this was a very, very dope album. Flamboyant. I mean, like I said, I didn't care too much for the Deadly Combination and stuff like that. Even I love L, I love Pac, but
Hmm.
hey,
Yep. Okay. My next one is number 18, Dead Prez. Let's Get Free. Classic album. You know, M1 and Stickman loved it. Loved the production and the socially political raps on here. You know, hip hop and police state, mind sex. You know, wolves. They this is the album cover is iconic, and this is just that's a great political hip hop album that we don't get anymore. And yeah, definitely one of the best of 2000.
definitely. All right. My next choice is Snoop Dogg with The Last Meal. My second favorite Snoop album, in my opinion.
Hmm.
His last and best album on No Limit Records. Yeah, this one was a very, very dope joint. I love songs like Back Up Off Me, Hennessy and Buddha, Stacey Adams. I love that
Yes.
joint. You know what I'm saying? Definitely came back strong and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Fire.
definitely. Um, my next what are we at, number 17? My next joint is Busta Rhymes Anarchy. Love this album. I think Busta's first four was great, and then he had the issues in the 2000s with well after this he had the issues with Genesis and with what's the other one? It ain't safe no more. They didn't like those, but this one was definitely good. I love the album cover, and it's all like all red and it's all dark and everything, and you know this was great. This was definitely one of the is underrated joints. You know, you got Dilla producing on here with Enjoy the Ride. You got Swizz doing a couple joints on here. And I know you did was it Street Shit. You know, Blood Owl. I like that song. Why We Die with DMX. Rest in peace, and Jay Z. Yeah, Lenny Kravitz on this album. Get Out. That was like that could have been a bigger hit than it was, and it was like the first single, and I thought it would have been a bigger hit. The Heist, one of my favorites with Rock Marciano and Rain Ghost. You know, produced by Lost Professor. That was great. Definitely a solid album. And like I said, like the first four solo albums to me are his best, and then after that, when we get to Genesis and all the other shit, it was like hit or miss for me. But definitely underrated.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Speaking of underrated, gotta give a shout out to this underground classic,
Hmm.
Bumpy Knuckles, aka Freddie Fox, the
Hmm.
industry shakedown.
Nice.
Even the album cover's iconic and shit like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Bumpy. Now I have a question. Why did he always switch his name from Freddie Fox to Bumpy Knuckles? Do you know?
I remember hearing why he did it, but I don't know. Like I forgot like why he decided to change it. But I think he got more popular once he changed the name. You
I don't. I don't know, man. It's like,
know.
but as a name, Freddie Fox is like Freddie Fox. I like that as a name and stuff. Like
Hmm.
Bumpy Knuckles. That sounds. That's like a mind like Nasty Nas or
Right.
like Jay Z calling himself Jigga. And shit. Like, I don't know. Maybe that shit. It just always confused me because it's like one album you're Bumpy, the next album you're Freddie. I'm just like, okay,
Hmm.
nigga, what is this? Like,
That might have been a image thing too. Maybe like his publicist told him to do that or something.
true, touche.
I don't know. I don't know. Like you know what I mean.
I thought he had like a Parliament Funkadelic thing going on and shit. You know what I'm
It might have been something. It might have been something that maybe. But I'm trying to see on Wikipedia. Like, is
saying?
there?
Nah,
You know how
I
they
wouldn't trust Wikipedia like that
yeah. You know how they
unless
are.
unless if it's like a source with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But anyway, yeah, this one was a very dope album. This was fucking underground to the fullest. I love songs like fucking MCs Come and MCs Go, The Masters with MOP. MOP was just on fire in 2000
Oh
shit.
yeah.
I tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole album was just so fucking hard. As for some of Primo's best beats, and even like Freddie Fox, well, Bumpy Knuckles, where he's listed as Freddie Fox too.
Hmm.
He does some production on here too. So
Yeah. Yep. All right, my number 16 for me is Ludacris back for the first time. Definitely a solid album. Not my favorite Luda album, but it definitely has some bangers. What's Your Fantasy was huge, and Southern Hospitality, and I actually saw Luda that year when he was on the Outcast tour, and he performed those songs, and he killed it, and whole the whole song, and definitely was a dope album, and I love the production and the features on there. Yeah, Jermaine Dupri did something, and the 3 6 Mafia, and it was definitely a banger.
Yeah. All right. That's gonna be my top 10. Spoiler alert and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it to something that you don't rarely hear all the time. 3 6
Mm-hmm.
Mafia's breakthrough when the
Mm-hmm.
smoke clears. 66,
That's that's
61.
on my list, definitely.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Is that the next one or is it on your list?
No, that's gonna be higher. That's
Ah,
gonna be
okay.
higher.
Okay, cool. So, this is to me, this is like it's crazy because this is like the breakthrough album, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like the last you would hear from a lot of 3 6 Mafia
Right.
members like Gangsta Boo,
Mm-hmm.
Coops King. Because I'm not gonna lie, their whole career, it's just they each album they always lose a member
Yep.
and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
It was crazy.
Like it's crazy. It's crazy as fuck. Like they just have so much fucking drama with drugs and money.
Jesus.
Like that whole their whole career could be a beef episode. I'm just saying. Like, I'm not even lying. I'm not even fucking lying and shit.
Crazy.
Um and like yeah, with this album, this was known for the classic sipping on some scissor,
Yes.
sipping on some
That was
shit,
big up here. That
sipping
was
on
big
some
up here.
scissor.
That's for me
Woo,
when New York started playing them. It was like with that joint.
man,
You
the
know.
way they flipped that Marvin sample.
Yep.
Oh my god, that was iconic.
Definitely.
I love when they performed that on the verses too. They killed that
Yeah.
shit.
That was dope.
Mafia Niggas was dope too.
Mm-hmm.
Weak ass bitch, I like that one.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? This one was a fucking fire album. Honestly,
Banger.
I prefer the previous two over this
Oh.
one, but you know what? This is an iconic album from the South and shit. Like anything they did up until 2005 was just
Right.
iconic.
Yep.
I don't know. Once they won that Oscar and they dropped Most Known Unknown, so
Mm-hmm.
everything just changed.
Everything changed.
I don't know.
Number
Juicy J,
15. Huh?
Juicy J just started rapping about anything at that point.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that scissor got to him. Shit, yo. Oh shit. Okay, I'll stop. I'm done.
Number 15 for me is Wu Tang Clan, the W.
Ooh.
Solid album. At first, we did a review on this. At first, I didn't like this album when it came out because I just thought again like I was. This is another album that was following a double album like Bone Thugs with their double album, and I'm like after the success of Wu Tang Forever, I'm like how they gonna top that? And they came out with this. I remember hearing it when it came out, and I didn't like it. I was like, nah, this ain't it. And this is another album that it grew on me like over years, and now to me it's a solid album, and a lot of good features on here. You got Redman killed it on Red Bull. I think that was like one of the best tracks on there, and Monumental with Busta. Let My Niggas Live with Nas. The MC Conditioner with ODB and Snoop Dogg. I love that joint. I think Snoop killed it. It was definitely a banger. Hollow Bones, but really really nice tracks on here. Careful Click. They dropped a lot of different singles off of this album, and yeah, this was definitely a solid album, and you know probably their last solid album really, because after that they had their issues too. Iron Flag was mediocre at best, and
Yeah.
eight
Rough.
di- eight di- nobody mentions eight. I know we're supposed to talk about eight diagrams, but nobody mentions that one.
Yeah. That's gonna be. I want to talk about a few Wu solo albums in between that
Yeah,
and the Iron Flag too before we get to.
yeah. But this is like their last solid album to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Niggas sleep on the W, and niggas prefer Iron Flag over the W. I'm just like, what?
I don't understand that.
I don't
Iron
understand.
Flag, there might be like maybe two joints that I really enjoyed off of there, but it's not a great album.
See? All right, man. Next album is Deltron 3030, the super group between Delta Funky Homo Sapien, Dan the Automator, and DJ Kid Koala. This one was a very dope album, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They had some of Dan Automator's best productions on this one. I love Things You Can Do. I love that track
Hmm.
right there. I love 3030. Time Keeps on Slipping. I mean, this it's a very operatic album and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? This is
Yeah.
the kind of hip hop where you can pretty much. This is the kind of hip hop that kind of broke down the barriers for like cats like Kanye
Yeah.
and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Facts.
I feel like Delta Funk Home Sleepy does not get its just due, in my opinion.
I agree. Definitely.
He's more than Ice Cube's cousin, y'all. Like
Yeah. Right. You don't even do stuff with Cube. You know what I'm saying? So
he only did that first album because they had
yeah.
like a little situation too, believe it or not.
Right. Crazy. Yep. Numbers 14 for me is Big Pun, Yeah Baby. Love
Yes,
this album. I think this is a real. I've heard people say this is not a real second album or they use unreleased joints or you know what I mean. I'm like this.
he recorded this.
Pun recorded it before he died. Like I heard about him recording it before he died. So it's so hard with Donald Jones. Great tribute to Pun in that video.
Yes,
Everybody dressed in white and holding the candles. Fat Joe was in it and Angie Martinez, and it was great, man. Great video. New York Giants was the first joint I heard off of this on the radio. MOP on that joint. They killed that beat. My Dick with Tony Sunshine,
classic.
definitely fire. I would have loved to see a video for that. That would have been hilarious. Um, uh, 100% was great with Tony Sunshine again. Tony Sunshine was on a couple of these joints. You know, laughing at you again with Tony Sunshine. Loved that joint. Miss Martin, the Remy Martin solo track. You Was Wrong, featuring Remy and Fat Joe and Dragon. Nice posse joint. The little skit nigga shit. Love that joint. Love that beat with the pianos. Damn, damn, damn. Ding, 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 ding. Love that joint, man. That should have been like a full record.
Yeah,
This was definitely a solid sophomore album, and Pun was definitely one of the best ever, man. Top five, top 10 ever. So yeah, this is one of my favorites, definitely.
I agree. Um, I kind of regret not talking about this album when we definitely
Hmm.
talked about the Wu albums, the second
Yeah.
wave, because technically this kind of Wu album
Hmm.
is the Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, the album
Mm.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
One of the best hip hop, not just hip hop soundtrack, one of the best soundtracks ever.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's kind of crazy too because there's different versions of this
Hmm.
of this too. There was this one joint called Cakes with Coogee Rap and RZA.
I heard that joint. Yeah,
Oh my fucking god.
that was fire.
That beat. Like Coogee Rap on that beat, man. Like
Crazy.
and I say it's technically a Wu album because you have some cats like J. Rule and Afra on the
Yeah.
album too and stuff like that. And then Forrest Whitaker is doing like his Samurai Code and stuff like that. I've never
Yeah.
actually seen the movie, believe it or not.
I saw it on cable like a long time ago.
Is it good?
I gotta watch it again. I know Samuel Jackson. Forrest Whitaker was playing like a blind samurai or something like that.
It's one of those Matrix s kind of movies, is it?
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
to see it again because it's been many years.
yeah, man. I definitely understand because I remember around that the Y2K era, there was all these cryptic Matrix esque movies.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
even
definitely.
even the album cover, it looked kind of Matrix X and stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
Forrest, I like Forrest Whitaker, but sometimes he just
Yeah,
I don't know what he be doing.
stick to being Bumpy Johnson. That's your thing. Hmm.
Eddie from Empire and shit.
Right?
Fucking Jason's lyric.
Lord.
One of the
Yeah.
greatest movies ever.
Oh man. All right. Number 13. I forgot this album came out in 2000. I had to add it to the list. Number 13. Eric Sermon. He was under a different alias. He was
Oh
known as
god.
Eric Onassis.
Oh god.
Love this album. You had joints like Focus with DJ Quick and Exhibit. That was a banger. You had Why Not with Slick Rick. That was the first single. You had a lot of people on it. This was actually the first album I heard Rick Ross ever on. It was Eric Sermon that discovered Rick Ross. It wasn't Trick Daddy, like a lot of people think. Even though he was signed to Slip and Slide, as Trick Daddy's artist, but he made his debut on this album. But he was known as Teflon. He wasn't known as Rick Ross then. But he's on here. You got PMD's also on here. Redman, Keith Murray. There was some artists that Eric was working with, Kyrie Santiago and Cy Scott. They never came out, but they were on a couple of tracks on this album. You got Dave Hollister, who was also signed to Def Squad at that time. He was on here. Ja Rule was on here. You got a drum with Easy E called So Sweet. That's a banger. He was on this album. Who else is on here? There's a lot of people. Too Short, Fat Gold Chains. That's
Yes.
that was like the first joint that New York ever played from Too Short. It was a collab with Eric Sermon. They
For
never
real?
played nothing from Too Short ever until like I believe that came out like 95, 96, and they
Yeah.
played Fat Gold Chains with Eric Sermon. That's the only time New York ever played a Too Short joint, and that's on here. Who else is on here? It's a lot of people on here, man. Like yeah, but it's definitely like a solid album. I think it went under the radar. I was actually on the street team for this album, and we promoted it, but it didn't sell. But it was just dope just to promote for Def Squad and Eric Sermon. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite underrated Eric Sermon projects.
I never was a fan of that album, really.
No, you never liked it.
That's probably my least favorite Eric Sermon album.
Oh Lord,
Like, I feel like he came back with the music album to me
yeah,
personally.
music was good. That was good. I enjoyed that.
Shout out to my nigga Dame. We
Yep.
definitely got to finish up this discography from this rapper. It's Scarface, The Last Dying Breed.
Yes.
Um, Probably Scarface's most underrated album, if you ask me.
Mhm.
Yeah, man, this
Mhm.
came 3 years after the Untouchable. My homie, I kind of consider the My Homie like collab albums and stuff. Like,
Right.
I don't know if people want to say that's a Scarface album, but I feel like it's more like,
The double album.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was,
He had a lot of features on there though.
yeah, a lot of features and shit. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But with this album, this one was a very dope one. I love songs like Look Me in My Eyes," "Get Out with Jay Z." Oh, fucking dope
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
The gangster shit and my like this was a very dope album and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
In my opinion, I kind of prefer this over the Untouchable,
Mhm.
which you guys should know. I like the Untouchable when I first heard it. It was a very weird album and stuff like that. Like compared to like the first three and shit, but
Right.
that was a dope album. I like it.
Yep. Number 12 for me is Dilated Peoples, a platform. The first album, I think it's a 5 mic classic. I love that West Coast boom bap, and you had producers like the Alchemist. We just did an Alchemist battle, a classic battle, and he did a lot of joints on here, and E Swift, DJ Babu, Joey Chavez, Master Kurt. It was definitely an all-star cast of boom bap producers, and I love Work the Angles. That was like one of the first joints I heard from them, and Triple Optics, Guaranteed. I almost played Guaranteed on for the beat battle, because that was on the list. Main Event. You had joints with Alcoholics and Be Real on No Retreat. AC Alone on The Shape of Things to Come. Eardrums Pop remix with Feel the Agony and Everlast and Planet Asia. That was a fire remix, and just a phenomenal project. I love Evidence, and Irie Sirens, and DJ Babu. Underrated the group to me from the West Coast. I had a few underrated West Coast groups on this list, but definitely a album that I don't hear nobody talk about.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Um, we just talked about this group earlier with this rapper's production. Number 11 is Dead Prez with Let's Get Free.
Yes.
Very, very dope album. One of the best conscious hip hop albums ever. This definitely picks up where Public Enemy left off. If only they could have continued just consistency in the rest of the albums. But
Right.
I love songs like Mindsets. I'm an African. That was a very dope track. Of course, y'all know hip hop. All my Chappelle Show fans should know about that track.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a very, very, very dope album. I love this album to death.
Yes. Dope. Number 11 for me is 3 6 Mafia, When the Smoke Clears. Love this album. This is like my introduction to 36 Mafia and sipping on some scissor. That was big up here. You had Who Run It. That was also I used to see the video a lot on Rap City for Who Run It. Tongue Ring, Mafia Niggas. That's the phenomenal album. I love the production from DJ Paul and Juicy J and the features on here was definitely a southern banger in my opinion.
I feel you.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the top 10.
Yes.
All right, my number 10. This might be a surprise to some, but it's gonna be Nelly's Country Grammar.
Oh God. Lord.
Yeah, so Country
Mm.
Grammar is kicking off the top 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You know you don't like this album,
Oh
what artists and
Lord.
shit. This was a very, very. This is pop rap done right, in my personal opinion. Like songs like "Ride with Me," that was big back at that time.
Mm.
Yeah, it was dope. I liked title track was pretty good too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Greed, Hate, Envy. This is if you guys own one Nelly album, this will just be the only one and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Just that.
Nellyville was cool, but it was a bit too commercial for my taste and shit.
What? And you thought that Country Grammar wasn't?
Like I said, he had his own style with this one. You know what I'm
Uh.
saying?
Right.
He had his own fucking style, which I can respect that. You know what I'm saying? But
Uh.
it wasn't like blingy blingy like Cash Money. It
No.
wasn't rugged like Rough Riders and stuff like that. I can respect that. You know.
No. What you're saying is he was in the middle of mainstream and boom bap.
No, what I'm saying is he was authentic with his style. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I feel you on that. Oh man. All right, number 10 for me is another West Coast um artist that I think is underrated, and I loved a lot of his early albums, and this is like his first one on Aftermath and Exhibit Restless 2000.
Oh God,
Great. You didn't like this one?
it was okay.
What?
It
This is
was
one of his best.
it was a bit overrated.
Wow. I
I'm
think
I'm more of a first two exhibit
I
album.
think I think well this is definitely like they promoted this is probably his most like mainstream album because they definitely Aftermath definitely promoted this album, front to back and X and
And he
Get
wasn't
Your
on
Walk
Aftermath.
On. Huh?
He wasn't on Aftermath for that album.
Yeah, but he was affiliated with them. Like he was already on the Up and Smoke tour. Dr. Dre executive produced the album. He did like a lot of joints on this album. You know what I mean? So he was affiliated with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like even though he was still on Loud, but he was like affiliated with them, and like yeah, it was like it started with this album because like after that, like Dre did stuff for the other albums after that. Man vs Machine and shit. You know what I'm saying? So definitely to me one of his best, and Eminem is on here, Eric Sermon, Snoop Dogg,
Snoop.
J Ro from the Licks, J Ro and Tash, Goldie Low, Cocaine, Quick, Sugar Free. Everybody's on Butch Cassidy, the Far Right. Everybody's on this album, and Keras One, and I think it was like a great mix of having both East and West Coast artists on here, and yeah, he killed it, man. Definitely one of my favorite Exhibit albums.
Yeah, it's decent. And my number 9, Jay Z's The Dynasty of Rock La Familia.
Yeah.
One of Jay Z's best albums. Originally a compilation album. You know what I'm saying? But they said it was gonna be more successful as a J album.
So is it considered a Jay Z album? 'Cause I thought it was a
Yeah,
compilation.
it's
Okay.
a Jay Z album. Yeah,
It didn't feel like that though. It felt more like a compilation.
like I said, in hindsight, originally it is it's marketed as a Jay Z album.
Okay.
Yeah, like this one was a pretty dope album. I felt like it had some of the best songs on Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion. I just want to love you. I hate that fucking
That got
song.
overplayed. It got overplayed too much.
I hate that. I hate guilty until no. Actually, that's the only Jay and R. Kelly song I can vibe with.
Wow. You didn't like Fiesta remix?
I hate Fiesta.
Wow. What? So you didn't like the album at all? The best of both worlds?
No, I told you we're gonna talk about that one
Oh,
day.
okay.
That's gonna be a trash review.
Oh Lord. What?
Yeah,
Trash review? No.
I told you I never liked that album. It's too
That album
commercial.
got some bangers on there, yo.
Too fucking commercial, man.
Wow.
Give me. I'll
But
stick to
that's how Jay Z was always commercial though. What you mean?
I mean, yeah, he was always commercial, but at the same time, like I said, him and R. Kelly. I mean, I don't understand the whole hype of that kept with that collab team. Like, yeah, before the album, they had like We Ride on the our album. I like
Hmm.
Guilty Until Proven Innocent. That's the best one. And to me, that's just it. Like, I'm not gonna. That's it. Fiesta was just corny to me.
So
Yeah.
you didn't like the they didn't like the joint they did on the Chain of Faces album, the second one.
Oh yeah, they did do that shit. Okay. Oh, okay. That too. I'll throw in that too. I'll throw in that too. I mostly just like that because of changing faces. Really.
Right. I wonder if the sex tape never came out, would people appreciate this album more? Cause like they Def Jam pulled the promotion after that sex tape came out.
I think they just did it because it was just whack. Man. Shit.
Man. I feel like it got blackballed because of that whole thing, but I enjoyed it. I think it was a great first album. The second one I didn't care for, but the first one to me had some bangers on it. Honey
The second one was just
and
a mashup album.
Green Light and
I'm dead ass.
mm. You like the second one more?
No, I said it was just a mashup album, really.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, they just really had some unreleased tracks from the album.
Oh, that's what they did. Well, I
I'm
know that there was one song, the song that was it Pretty Girls, the song that Foxy was on, that was supposed to be on. They were planning a Birdman and R. Kelly album, and it never came out, and that was supposed to be on that album.
wait, a Birdman R. Kelly album.
Yes, yeah, but I think it
Baby.
might. Yes, cause they there was an interview that they did, and Birdman was like playing that track,
Oh God.
and it's probably done, but it's in the vault because they never gonna come out with it
This
now.
nigga Kells was definitely on the hip
Yeah,
hop dick around that.
he was doing like collab albums. He had the Birdman and R. Kelly album, and I'm pretty sure Baby has that album somewhere.
I bet
That
you didn't know the original Best of Both Worlds was supposed to be him and Pop.
yes, I do know that.
Oh,
Cause
okay.
the I Wish joint, I remember him saying that you wanted Pop for that song.
Hmm.
That would have sold
I
definitely,
can definitely see Pop on that.
definitely that would have sold. Cause he already thought he was an R&B thug at that point, R.
But it's
Kelly. So
crazy because he did like two songs with Biggie too and shit.
right,
That's
yeah, yeah, yeah. He was planning collab albums and shit.
damn him and
Yeah.
Birdman. What?
Him and Birdman, yeah, they were supposed to do. I know that album was done. Baby has had that in the vault somewhere, but they never gonna release it.
That shit's probably trash.
And yeah, I don't like Birdman, so it's highly unlikely I would have put a
I'm
Birdman
trying to
album.
figure out how that's going even possible. That's how is that how what?
Yes, Birdman and R. Kelly album, maybe that's why he decided. Well, I don't know. Maybe I was saying maybe that's why he decided to do the like Follow Like Sun album with Weezy instead. You
Yo,
know,
the shit you learn, man. Shit,
it's
wow.
crazy. Yep.
Anyway, yeah, that's my number nine. Damn, wow.
Uh,
I don't even know
I
what.
thought everybody knew about that though,
I never knew about that,
cause
yo.
he did shit with Baby and Cash Money before. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they were planning a whole album, like, and it never got released after that whole thing came out with him.
Jesus Christ.
You know, uh, number nine for me is CNN the reunion. Love this
Ooh,
album.
I forgot about that.
Yes, and we did a review on this last year. It was hilarious because I felt like I had some issues with this album, but definitely was solid, and it was great to see Capone back in the mix after he was away in jail when the World Report came out, and he had to hold down on his own. But he came back home and they reunited for this album, and we had joints like Invincible produced by Primo. That was a joint that was dope. I believe Primo did a episode on that, right?
Yeah, he did.
on Invincible. That was one of my favorites. And Queen's Finest with Mob Deep and Show Bilotti and Elgato was on that. And y'all don't want to fuck with us. Produced by Nokio from Drew Hill. I'm still surprised Nokio even did that beat because it sounds crazy. It don't even sound like a Nokio joint, but like you got an R&B nigga doing a street joint for them. That was fire. Um, of course, Bang Bang. I played that at the Alchemist battle, produced by Alchemist with Foxy, taking shots at Kim and all that, and definitely a solid sophomore album. And to me, they haven't had a solid album like this.
I
Like
agree.
I think what is it? Channel 10 had some joints, but it wasn't great. The War Report 2, I actually have that. That was okay. It was slept on. There wasn't a lot of promotion for that. I think they want an indie label. I think they might have been on Koch or
They
like
needed tragedy. That's what they needed.
yeah, they might Tragedy wasn't a part of those albums. That might have been like on Koch or E1, one of those indie labels. But this is like their last great album together, and I definitely enjoyed this one. So
Definitely. All right, my number 8 is Outcast with Stanconia.
yes,
Um, this one's a very dope album and stuff like that. Minus Bombs Over Baghdad, I never cared for the singles. Miss
never
Jackson.
liked that. I never liked Bang Bang.
Oh, come on now.
You like that?
I love Bombs Over Baghdad.
I never liked that as a first single. I'm like, this? What is
Bombs
this?
Over Baghdad.
Never liked that song.
Andre running down the fucking purple hill and shit.
That shit reminded me of D12 Purple Pills. That drink,
Oh God.
cause they had they had purple shit in there, and I'm like, what is this?
Shit. I hate Miss Jackson and So Fresh So
You
Clean.
didn't like that? I love those
I'm so
songs.
tired of those fucking songs.
What? Miss Jackson, they got
I'm
a
so
Grammy for that.
tired.
What?
I don't give a fuck if they got an Oscar for it. I'm tired of that shit, man. They
I
overplay.
love that
Give me
song.
Bombs Over Baghdad, man.
I'm
All
sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Love that song.
because niggas kept using that shit. Like,
You got like you see the cat going over the piano in the video. I love that song, man. They played it to death though. That's been in the TRL era. They were playing everything to death.
yes.
You know, I think that's probably why I didn't get that album because I'm like, oh God, Mick Jackson again. But that's a classic
For
record
your
though,
mamas,
man.
mamas, mamas,
Right,
mamas.
forever, ever, forever, ever.
Right. Everyone. Oh, it was Gasoline Dreams. That's my
Mm,
favorite track off the tour album.
yes,
Andre at his
awesome.
best.
Mhm,
Shit. I Call Before I Come.
mhm.
Toilet T-shirt was dope too.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Like it's a good album. It's just it was the beginning of Outkast beat.
Mhm. Definitely. All right, my number 8 is Snoop Dogg, The Last Meal. One of the best albums from Snoop Dogg. I think all three of his albums on No Limit are great, and I'm not even a No Limit fan, but
Like this,
I love his 3 albums on No Limit,
this
and
first
this
one's
is
trash.
definitely, huh?
At the game is
You didn't
trash.
like that?
Nah,
I love that album. Love that album and Top Dog, and this album was a classic, and Hennessy and Weed, and
ooh,
Stacey Adams, and Pump Your Brakes, bitch, pump your brakes, you hoe. I love that. Um, uh, uh, that Laylo classic posse cut with Nate Dogg, rest in peace, and Butch Cassidy, Master P on that joint. You know what I'm saying? The East Siders love this album definitely. You got Dr. Dre in the production as well on his, and this was great. This is like the way like to end off that No Limit era, and he went off and did his own thing with Doggy Style Records, and this was great. Definitely, and I love the album cover and the illustration, and phenomenal album.
I agree. All right, my number 7 is Quasimodo, aka Madlib with the Unseen. Very fire album in my opinion. This is the Madlib that really got my attention and shit. Niggas don't know about this Madlib and shit.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know about this Madlib. Y'all busters don't know shit. Stop. Like
They,
this
they know
one, like
Pinata Madlib. They don't know
it,
Unseen
they,
Madlib.
they know hell they know Jay Liv
Bandana.
champion sound Madlib.
They know
They know Matt
Bandana. They don't
Dillon.
know Quasimodo.
They don't know about that cause they
Yeah.
call themselves hip hop here.
And
Y'all don't know about
and
that
and,
cause.
and after this weekend, they're gonna know Black Star Madlib. They don't know
Oh,
that.
don't even get me started. Don't even get me started and shit.
God,
They
like,
don't know Black Star Madlib and shit.
mm-hmm. Yep.
But this was the Mad Lib that got my attention and shit. This was like when he was on that MF Doom kind of shit where
Mm-hmm.
Basic Instinct, Low Class
Yep.
Conspiracy.
Yep.
You know what? I might bump this album tonight, yo. This I haven't heard
Yeah.
this album in years, man. Shit.
Yep.
Like even the album cover is so fucking fire. Like that's some like Grand Theft Auto kind of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Facts.
Yeah, man. Y'all can have y'all. I like Madlib altogether, but
Mm.
these motherfuckers, they like Christopher Columbus shit. They list the one thing and they base their whole career off that one thing and
Well,
shit. You
that
know?
one shit. Right. Oh well, I like the album he did. I like Champion Sound, and that's all they know. Or I like this the album he did with MF Doom, Mad Villainy, but that's all they know. They don't know nothing else from him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Terrible. You Um, number six for me is seven for me is Beanie Siegel, The Truth, classic debut album. Beans and lyrically one of the best ever. I don't hear nobody mention his lyricism. It's always about Jada Kiss and this one. Beans definitely got bars and he had his own flow. Nobody sounded like him, and he bought out his own crew, State Property, and he has a solid discography. Definitely love this album. Mac and Brad, and Who Want What you what a thug about. Remember them days with Eve. The Truth title track produced by Kanye West, early Kanye on here. You also got the bonus Jay Z track, Anything. I don't know why Jay put it on this album,
That's so
but definitely love this album and one of his best. And I love his second album, The Reason, and the Becoming a Classic, and the State Property albums. Definitely, man. This man got to be. We got to talk more about Beanie Siegel stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. My number six is Wu Tang the W.
Yes.
Very dope album in my opinion. Very underrated if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
No, this was like the first Wu album where it had like outside guest appearances and shit. And I'm not counting the solo albums. I'm not gonna count those.
Right.
It has some of the strongest Wu songs too. Like I Can't Go to Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking MC Conditioner with Snoop Dogg.
Yes. He killed
Um,
that.
yeah, don't even get me started on the Jizza verse
That
shit.
was dope. Yeah.
Yeah,
With the beats he cut.
Careful Click Click.
Yeah.
Like this whole album was my shit though. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand how
Mm-hmm.
the Iron Flag is more better than this one, but hey,
They tripping.
different strokes, different folks, I guess. You know.
Never. Yep. All right. Number six for me is we staying with Rockefeller, the Dynasty Rock La Familia. Love that album that came out in Halloween of 2000, and I've always thought it was a compilation album to compare to Jay Z album. And you got joints like Change the Game and Stick to the Script, and what's the other joint You Me Him and Her. That's really like the only joint with a mill that I liked. You know,
Wow.
def phenomenal album. Freeway did his thing on there on was it 1-800 Hustler or something like that. He was
Yeah,
on that joint. Um, uh, Beans of this thing meant this bleak. Guilty the Not Guilty joint with R. Kelly was on that album. Phenomenal album, man. Definitely a classic.
definitely.
I never bought that. I need to get that too.
Yeah, my next top five is gonna be Common,
Mm-hmm.
Like Water for Chocolate.
Mm,
Yeah, this was a fire album. His major label debut and shit like that.
yes.
The beginning of the part of the whole Soulquarians era. I won't really say it's the beginning, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely a fire. You know, Soulquarians was all over this album. Sounds like Cold Blooded Delight, Heat,
Yep.
fire joints, man. I fucking love this shit.
All right, top five. Number five for me. Rest in peace to Prodigy. HNIC classic. One of the best rap debut solo albums ever in history. I played Keep It Throw to start off that Alchemist battle. Love that joint. And Trials of Love with Miss what was it BK Miss Bars, and three with Cormega. Veterans Day. A Veterans Memorial. My bad. YBE with BG. That was a single. Wanna Be Thugs with Havoc. That definitely a Five Mic classic album. We did a review on this like 2 years ago. Definitely love this album. Rest in peace, The Prodigy.
Yeah, rest in peace indeed. All right, number four is Reflection Eternal, Train of Thought. Talib and High Tech.
Mm.
Very, very, very dope album and stuff like that. I like that more than the blast and shit. My favorite track is actually Memories Live and shit. I love
Mm,
that track. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Move Something was dope.
Yes.
Dave Chappelle was on this album and shit like that too.
Hmm.
Soul Rebels like this. I love this era of underground hip hop and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like that late '90s, early 2000s underground hip hop.
Hmm.
Before
Yep.
niggas wanted to act like they trap stars and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
But yeah, man, this was a dope album.
Definitely. Number four, Outcast Stanconia. This is the only Outcast album I don't have. I must get this. For whatever reason, I never bought it, but I did go to the tour. The tour was great. They killed it. We love these hoes. And Red Velvet was one of my favorites. They performed a lot of the songs from the album at the show. Red Velvet was one of my favorites. So Fresh So Clean, Miss Jackson. I know you don't like it, Miss Jackson. I love that song, and that is a Five Mic album. And that album, that's one of those albums again. Like when it first came out and I heard it, I was like, nah, I ain't feeling this. And then over time, I love it now, and definitely a Five Mic classic. And it was even like great to see them perform a lot of those songs in person. And definitely like the last great Outkast album to me. So
Definitely. Number three, Ludacris back for the first time. Very dope album and stuff like that. You know, if you want to be technical, it's his second album,
mm,
but this is actually his major label debut. Yeah, this he was definitely on his lyrical form on this one, like Southern Hospitality, Mouthing Off, probably my favorite track off this album. What's Your Fantasy? Game Got Switched. Like definitely a very, very fire album. Very underrated. I don't even hear a lot of people talk about it back for the first time
yeah,
like
why
that.
why is that they don't talk about it though?
I don't even
Why
know.
like
It's like they will stick with word of mouth. Which I love word of mouth too, but I don't know. That's just something I never understood either.
yeah.
Because niggas always think you because it's just a cartoony commercial rapper and shit. Like,
Right. That might be it too.
yeah, cartoony. Some of his earlier videos were kind of trippy and shit. I'm
It
not,
was, yeah. He reminded me of Busta Rhymes a lot in his
he,
videos.
he was like a southern version of Redman. When like
Yeah.
that's what drew me to back for the first time and shit. He had
Hmm.
that Redman feel to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he was different because a lot of them southern niggas was trying to do that bling bling shit. You didn't hear Ludacris doing that shit.
Yeah.
Shit, roll out, dude.
Yep. So yes, number three for me, one of the best Wu solo albums. And this man was carrying the flag during the whole 2000s and 2010s. Ghostface Killer, Supreme Clientele.
Ooh.
Love this album. Mighty Healthy, one of my favorites. And The Grain with him and RZA. Killed that joint. Sheshe La Ghost with him and You God. Bananas, One, produced by was it Juju from the Beatnuts?
Mm-hmm.
That was I love that song. Apollo Kids, phenomenal album. I mean, this people say this is his best. I love Iron Man more than this, but I think I love a lot of Ghostface albums. I think he has multiple classics. I loved Iron Man. I love this one. I love Bulletproof Wallets. Pretty Tony album was solid to me. The Ghost Dini album was solid. He has a lot of great solid projects, and he really kept Wu Tang relevant through the 2000s and 2010s when a lot of the other members were dropping shit, including Raekwon. You know what I'm saying? And Ray ain't dropped nothing great until he dropped Cuban Link 2. Lex Diamonds was trash. That wasn't a good album. You know what I'm saying? Meth was already in Hollywood doing his thing and doing shit with Redman and all that. So, I didn't even pay attention to the Master Killer stuff and all the Capadonna albums that he dropped during that time. It was basically Ghost. The same way I felt like Sean Price was keeping Boot Camp relevant. Ghost kept Wu Tang relevant for the 2000s, and this is definitely a Five Mic classic to me.
I definitely agree with you on that. My number two is Eminem's The Marshall Mathers LP. I
Nice.
mean, you guys should expect this album gonna be on this list somehow,
Of
some way.
course.
Probably the most important hip hop album of 2000.
Right.
The recent hip hop inductee in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and shit.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, songs like Remember Me, Stan, The Real Slim Shady, Under the Influence. It was just raw. It was just fucking dark, twisted, and shit like that. This album had literally had everybody scared and shit back in
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eminem Marshall Mathers LP.
Number two for me is Common's like Water for Chocolate. Phenomenal album. Common to me is one of those artists that he has multiple classics. To me, it's not just one album, and I don't know how people can sit there and say that Big Sean is better than him. That's just ridiculous to me. But
Stillness fucking.
I think Common has more than one great album, and this is one of my favorites. Top three Common albums ever. Right up there with Resurrection. Right up there with B and the rest in peace to Dilla and Questlove really crafted this masterpiece for Common, and you got joints like The Light with Bilal and The Sixth Sense and Funky for You and doing it. That definitely love this album, man. A masterpiece, and this will always be one of my favorite Common albums. I definitely think that he and this is before he hooked up with Kanye. I definitely think like he already this is like his breakthrough album to me with this album. Like he really put himself on. He put the hip hop community on notice. Like yo, I got bars too. It ain't just about Black Thought or Talib. I got bars, and I'm showing it on a masterpiece like this album. And shout out to rest in peace to Jay Dilla for giving him a masterpiece. So
Definitely rest in peace.
yeah,
Alright, my number one is gonna be Ghostface with the Supreme Clientele.
nice.
Yes, man. It's my favorite hip hop album of 2000. To me, I like this album because it pretty much proved that Wu was a long standing power because that second wave of Wu albums was just so mixed
Yep.
and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It has some good, it has some bad.
Hmm.
Ghostface came back, you know what I'm saying? Did his thing. You know, I love songs like fucking Mighty Healthy, One, Child's Play. I mean, this whole album is definitely one of the best hip hop albums of all time. Fucking fire.
Yep. Definitely. And my number one, the artist that people love to hate, but you can't deny his greatness. And you'll probably be the only white boy, at least for a while, to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Eminem, Marshall Mathers LP, five mic classic, phenomenal album. Um, just the stuff he was saying on here, like he said shit about impregnating J Lo, and J Lo being his mother and impregnating her, and made a song for his baby mama Kim, and it's just crazy. Just crazy shit he was talking about on this album. This was like he's like fuck all that. I'm gonna say what I want over Dre production, and man, he didn't disappoint. Like Slim Shady LP was great, and then he gave us this album. I believe it was like Memorial Day weekend is dropped, or 2000. So the anniversary's coming up for this.
Oh wow.
Man, this is a classic album. The Way I Am, he went nuts on that song. Stan, one of the best storytelling rap songs ever. I love that song. Um, Bitch Please too, with Snoop and Nate Dogg on that and Exhibit, and this was great, man. The drug ballad. I didn't care for the real Slim Shady. I thought that was overplayed, but they
Yeah.
always did that with a lot of his first singles anyway. But um, Criminal. I remember seeing him do that performance at the Up and Smoke tour, and that was great. And he had like the jumpsuit on with the Jason mask, and um, what else, man? I'm Back. I love that song, and just a phenomenal album, man. Like definitely his first three major label albums to me are like his best. You know what I'm saying? Then it's hit and miss after that. When we hit the encore, it's like hit and miss, but Slim Shady LP and Marshall Mathers LP and Eminem Soda Mill is like his best ones, and definitely a great album. So, and salute to him for making the Hall of Fame, and I support him, man. I don't know like people in their feelings about Tribe, and Tribe will make it next year, guarantee. They gotta make it. You know, but Eminem, they going by album sales. Eminem sold a lot of units. He's really the only Caucasian rapper in hip hop to sell 10 million. Nobody else did that. Vanilla Ice didn't do that. You know, House of Pain and Everlast didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So he's well deserving of it, and I support him because I fuck with him, and he's a great artist. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It ain't about colors and oh, well, you can't relate to him because they ain't bump Eminem in the club. And there's a lot of a lot of artists that they ain't bump in the club. They never bump Roots in the club, and everybody loves Black Thought, and the Roots will make it one day as well. But this whole hatred for Eminem and oh well, I can't relate to M because they ain't bump him in the club, and you can't bump him in your ride. And there's a lot, we could make a whole episode about this. A lot of artists that they ain't bump in the club or you can't bump in your ride, but they still dope, and that's what matters. And I salute them for that. So salute to Eminem.
Definitely. And this concludes the top 30 hip hop albums of 2000. Another fun list we just did and shit like that. Probably gonna drop this sometime this weekend, hopefully, and shit.
Yeah,
Appreciate this, bro, as usual.
no doubt.
Yeah, man. Hope y'all subscribe and like this shit. Might do something from the 20 teens next. I'm not too sure.
Oh, nice.
I'll let you know.
2010s.
Yeah, I'll
Nice.
let you
That's
know
gonna be
and
dope.
shit.
Okay.
All right. Hope y'all have a good night. Peace.